the Sufi art of letting go, from attachment to annihilation, Fana, and freedom, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Sufi essence. In life, we are all architects of our own emotional prisons. We build these prisons with the chains of our attachments to people, to possessions, to our identities, to our successes, and to our expectations. We hold on so tightly to what we love that we live in a constant state of fear of losing it. The result is a life defined not by love but by anxiety, a life where our happiness is a fragile thing dependent on external circumstances. But what if there was another way? What if the path to true freedom lies not in holding on but in letting go? Today, we will embark on a profound journey into the Sufi art of letting go. We will explore the spiritual disease of attachment and discover a radical path to inner peace. We will move beyond a simple definition of detachment to a state of complete spiritual surrender, a state known as Fana, or the annihilation of the self. We will learn from the timeless wisdom of the Sufi masters that letting go is not about losing what you love, but about finding a love that can never be lost, a love so profound that it sets your soul free. This is a lecture on how to break the chains of attachment and find the ultimate freedom that lies in the heart. Part 1. The chains of attachment. To understand the art of letting go, we must first understand what attachment is. From a Sufi perspective, attachment is not the same as love. To love something is to appreciate its beauty, its value, and its presence in our lives as a gift from Allah. To be attached to something is to turn that love into a form of dependence. It is to believe that our happiness, our identity, and our very sense of self depends on that person, object, or outcome. When we are attached, we are not truly loving, we are clinging. This spiritual clinging is the primary source of suffering. When we are attached, we live in a constant state of fear. Fear of loss, fear of change, and fear of the unknown. We treat the temporary things of this world as if they were permanent. And when they inevitably change or leave, our world collapses. The ego, or nafs, is the master architect of these chains. It tells us that we are our job, we are our success, we are our relationships. It convinces us that our value is derived from these external things. This creates a fragile sense of self that is easily broken. The Sufi masters saw attachment as a spiritual disease, a poison that slowly corrupts the heart. They taught that the heart was created to be a clear mirror for the divine light. But attachment clouds that mirror, making it impossible for the heart to see Allah, the chains of attachment. While they may feel like a form of security, are in fact a prison that prevents the soul from flying to its creator. Part 2. The Prophet's example and the science of suffering. The Sufi path of detachment is deeply rooted in the life and teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the ultimate exemplar of a heart that was in the world but not of it. The Prophet Pibu experienced profound loss throughout his life, the death of his parents, the passing of his beloved wife Khadijah, the loss of his children, and the painful exile from his city. Yet, through it all, his heart remained at peace. He felt the pain and the sorrow of these losses, but he did not allow them to shatter his spirit. His heart was not attached to these worldly blessings, was attached to the giver of all blessings. This spiritual resilience finds a powerful echo in modern psychology and neuroscience. Psychological studies have shown that a person's level of resilience and happiness is not determined by their circumstances, but by their ability to detach from their suffering. The more we cling to the past, the more we replay our pains, the more we activate the fear and anxiety centers of our brain. We are literally rewiring our brains to be in a state of suffering. The practice of letting go, on the other hand, allows us to disengage from this cycle of emotional pain. It allows us to process our grief without becoming a slave to it. The Sufi path offers a spiritual and psychological solution to this problem. It teaches us that true peace is not the absence of suffering, but the presence of Allah in the midst of it. When we let go of our attachment to people and outcomes, we are not abandoning them. We are placing them in the hands of the one who loves them more than we ever could. This act of spiritual surrender is the key to unlocking a profound and unshakable sense of peace that is independent of our worldly circumstances. Part 3. The practice of detachment. The art of letting go is not a one-time event. It is a spiritual discipline that must be practiced daily. It is not about abandoning our worldly responsibilities or our loved ones. It is about an inner attitude of detachment. It is the practice of loving and appreciating the things in our lives without clinging to them. So how do we practice detachment? Conscious gratitude. The first step is to recognize that everything in our lives, our health, our wealth, our loved ones, is a gift from Allah. By constantly giving thanks, we train our hearts to be grateful for the gift without being attached to its permanence. The understanding of change. We must train our minds to accept that all things in this world are in a state of flux. The only constant is Allah. By accepting that all things will come and go, we can begin to appreciate them in the moment without fearing their loss. Submission to the divine will. The most profound practice of detachment is the act of surrendering to the will of Allah. When we face a challenge or a loss, instead of clinging to what was, we place our trust in Allah's divine plan. This is the ultimate act of letting go. The realization that Allah's plan for us is far more beautiful than any plan we could have for ourselves. The practice of detachment is a form of spiritual alchemy. It is the process of transforming the lead of our worldly attachments into the spiritual gold of inner peace. It is the practice of emptying our hands so that they can be filled with a love that is eternal. Part 4. The Station of Annihilation, Fana. The ultimate form of letting go is a spiritual state known as Fana, or the annihilation of the self. This is the highest station on the Sufi path, and it is a concept that is often misunderstood. Fana is not a physical death. It is the death of the false self, the death of the ego nafs. It is the moment where the spiritual seeker has so completely let go of their own identity, their own desires and their own will, that their separate existence dissolves into the ocean of the divine. This is the ultimate freedom. The ego, which was the source of all of our attachments, is now gone. The seeker no longer acts from a place of fear or desire, but from a place of pure love and divine will. This state of Fana is a glimpse of the ultimate reality, a taste of a consciousness that is not limited by the boundaries of an individual ego. It is the moment where the drop of water realizes it is part of the ocean. However, Fana is not a permanent state. It is a moment of profound spiritual ecstasy, but the journey is not over. The ultimate goal is not to be lost in the ocean, but to return to the world as a clear and pure drop of water. A drop that is conscious of its connection to the ocean, while still maintaining its unique form. Part 5. From Fana to Baqa. The Return of the Servant. The ultimate destination on the Sufi path is a state known as Baqa, or subsistence in Allah. Baqa is the state that comes after Fana. It is the state where the servant, having annihilated their ego, returns to the world to live a life of perfect service and humility. The servant no longer acts from their own will, but from the will of Allah. Their words are Allah's words. Their actions are Allah's actions, and their life is a living testament to the divine presence. This is the state of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the great saints. They were fully present in the world, they loved their families and their communities, but their hearts were completely detached from the outcomes. They lived a life of profound purpose, knowing that their life was not their own, but a sacred trust from their Creator. The journey from Fana to Baqa is the journey of the perfect servant. It is the realization that the ultimate freedom is not in having no purpose, but in having a purpose that is so aligned with the divine that there is no longer a conflict between our will and the will of Allah. This is the ultimate spiritual alchemy, the process of turning our surrendered self into a perfect vessel for the divine. Part 6. The Alchemist of the Heart. Rumi, Adder, and the Final Freedom. The poetry of Rumi and the allegories of Farid Udinator beautifully illustrate this journey of letting go. In Adder's epic, The Conference of the Birds, embark on a long and perilous journey to find their king, the Simurgh. When they finally reach their destination, they realize that the king is a reflection of their own collective selves, the Simurgh, or 30 birds. This is a powerful allegory for Fana, the moment where the seeker realizes that the God they were looking for was the very source of their own being. Rumi's poetry is a continuous testament to the pain and the freedom of letting go. He wrote, "The wound is the place where the light enters you. He understood that the pain of letting go is not a punishment, but a necessary process of breaking the heart open so that the divine can enter. His poetry is the language of a heart that has been set free, a heart that has let go of its own small self to embrace the vastness of the divine. The lives and works of these masters are not just historical accounts. They are a timeless guide for us all. They are a living testament to the fact that the art of letting go is not about losing our lives. It is about finding them. It is about moving from a state of attachment and fear to a state of annihilation and divine freedom. Part 7. Conclusion. The Sufi art of letting go is the most profound spiritual discipline there is. It is the path to breaking the chains of our attachments, annihilating the false self, and returning to the world to live a life of perfect service and freedom. In this lecture, we have explored the chains of attachment and the spiritual disease it creates, the Prophet's example, and the psychological basis of resilience, the practice of detachment as a daily spiritual discipline, the ultimate state of Fana, or the annihilation of the ego, the return to the world in a state of Baqa, or divine subsistence, the living testament of Rumi and Adder to the final freedom of letting go. The path of the heart is a path of surrender. It is a path that requires us to let go of everything we think we are, everything we think we know, and everything we think we own. But in this act of letting go, we find a love that is eternal, a freedom that is unshakable, and a peace that is beyond all understanding. May Allah grant us all the grace to let go, so that we may truly find Him. Watch, reflect, and share. Subscribe to our channel for more beneficial content.